What's going on? Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the different types of meme coins and what you can identify based off of these different type of meme coin charts, and also how to actually find profitable meme coins as soon as they launch. Now, I want to grab your attention first with one coin that just came out recently called Tom, and I want to show you the chart, right? I want you to understand that if you ever see a chart like this where the liquidity is apparently locked, there's volume, there's 136 makers, but the chart looks like this, where it's almost just buys, and they're quite big buys, one sold, one sold, one sold, so on and so forth. Barely any like volatility in a short term. A chart needs to candles need to look like this if there's a lot of volume. There's never going to be a coin that comes out where it's going to be this progressive consistently with minimal volatility, right? Hopefully by the end of this video, this will rug, and I'll show you it will literally be some big red candle straight to the bottom. Usually it happens about an hour after the launch. So let's just see, that should be in about 5 minutes. But anyway, let's go back to the actual main page. Now, what I want you to sort of understand when it comes to obviously trading meme coins, there's different phases within a meme coin sort of lifespan, if you want to call it, right? We've got the initial stage, which is probably one of the most important, because that's where the momentum needs to be. It needs to build up in order for the coin to actually do well moving forward, right? That's where it all stems from. Now, me personally, I mainly trade Solana meme coins like 99% of the time. The other 1% will be like Ton or Base, but I mainly trade Solana meme coins because that's most of where the volume is at this current time. With Ethereum, I don't really touch it because of gas fees. And yeah, meme coins are popping in the Solana market right now. So what I would do is I'd go onto the screen and I'd click on new pairs. If you haven't watched my last video already, just giving you a quick explanation. And then at the top here, I'd click Solana, or you can go into filters and do it that way. Now, typically, to filter out the coins that you probably are inevitably going to be rugs or aren't really going to be worth your investment, you go to filters, and I would make liquidity minimum 5,000, right? You can go below it if you would rather take a higher risk, but I'd say 5,000 is probably a good minimum liquidity, right? Because there are people that launch coins that aren't willing to put 10k into the liquidity pool or 20k. Although that makes it a lot safer, we just have to accept that there's not always going to be good projects that put in that amount instantly, right? So what I'd do is I put 5k, and then now it's only going to show you coins with a liquidity of above 5k. Now, there's a few ways I would sort it. If you're trying to find meme coins that are just launched and you're trying to get into them as early as possible, you can then sort by age. And that's what I typically do. I like to sort by age because I like to get into things early, right? And then what you would then do is you would need to look at a few things. Number one is you want to look at the makers, because that shows you sort of how many transactions, well, not really transactions, but how many wallets are involved in the volume that we're about to check as well. Which leads me on to the next point, is you want to check volume, right? I would stay away from, this, for example, where it's only 5.2k volume, right? 21 makers. We know that there is absolutely no potential in that being a good coin, right? Typically, if something launched, let's just say 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, bare minimum I'd say is look for minimum 500 makers and a bare minimum of 50k volume. And as I said, bare minimum, because as you can see, this one here, One Love, is only 395 makers, 69k volume. So yeah, it's typically around that range. But if we go on to it, that volume has probably died down because this has been out for about an hour, right? Remember, I said around 10 minutes. If it's already been out for an hour and it's only had 69k in volume, that's a bad sign. Whereas a coin like this, for example, Blobo, which has had 450k in volume, 1,060 makers, that might be a bit of a better sign, right? Not saying that that's going to be the greatest coin, but just giving you an example. Or another one, for example, 65 days without food cap. Again, 1.2 million volume, 1,580 makers within the past 26 minutes. That's a good sign. market cap's at 220k, it's not too low. So if we was to click on that as well and just open it up, let's see what it's saying. Now, if you haven't watched my last video already, I'd recommend you to go do so. I go over how to actually analyze a coin to make sure that it's not a rug. I go over like a 3-point check and all the tools that I use on Telegram for me to make sure that a coin isn't going to rug, right? I'm not going to really go over that in this video. Now, as we can see here, in the past 5 minutes, there's been 334 makers. Personally, for me, for a coin to have sufficient amount of momentum, I'd recommend you to, bare minimum, make sure there's at least 200 makers. That's probably bare minimum. And in addition to that, you want there to be at least 50k volume in the past 5 minutes. All right. Again, it can be lower, but there's different circumstances, right? If there's a reason as to why it's low, because maybe they haven't pushed marketing out yet, they haven't started marketing yet, or they haven't updated deck screener yet, for example, this one here, that could cause a pump. That's a reason for these type of coins to then pump. Now, obviously, I'd have to do my 3-point check for me to actually see if this coin is, worth getting into, but I don't see why this coin is bad, right? If we switch over to market cap here, you'll see it's touched 500k market cap and it's sort of bounced off it, and now it's gone down to 200k and it's sort of bounced off 200k, which is perfectly normal, right? Now what I'd probably do is I'd probably buy into this point, because I expect once they update deck screener, it will probably start to retrace back up to all-time high, and if it was to pass 500k, I can see it approaching 1 mil market cap. So in fact, what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to leave it open. All right, so we'll leave Shaffer open. Let's just give Tom a double check. All right, this hasn't rugged yet. We'll see if it rugs by the end of this video, but we'll leave Shaffer open because I do suspect it will go up to at least, let's just say 450k, especially if they update deck screener. All right, now in order for you to make a 2x, by the way, it would literally just, if you bought around like 200k, it just needs to go up to 400k, right? As simple as that. So give me a second. So it literally needs to touch here for you to make a 2x if you bought around the 200k mark. So let's see what it does, right? I also want to sort of give you this as proof to show that, it's not hard to make 100% off a meme coin, right? Now, if we go into Blobo, for example, but you see what I mean with, like, again, if we go back to Shaffer, you see what I mean by there's long candles, right? There's a lot of volume, unlike something like Tom, where it's very short and you can just tell it's fake. Once you get into the meme coin market and you understand how charts are meant to look, you'll know that that's not how they're meant to look. All right. Now let's go on to Blobo. So Blobo has been out for 52 minutes and is down to 162 makers, 23k volume in the past 5 minutes. We can tell that it's not really got that momentum. And in order for you to figure out why, you probably need to go on Twitter, you need to go on a Telegram, see if there's actual hype within the Telegram. There is also always going to be hype in the Telegram, by the way. Like, don't fall for the people saying, oh, this is the next, this coin, this is the next one, pump it, blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to those type of people. You want to go based off the charts, you want to go based off the actual foundations that I show you, or, the ones that you're meant to know, all right? Past 24 hours, or let's just say past 52 minutes, it's done 475k in volume. So, it's doing quite well. But there's probably a reason as to why it's not doing as well as it should do. Now, to be fair, it's not doing that bad because it is in an uptrend. But personally, for me, I don't like how there's a big, huge candle at the beginning, because that indicates to me there could have been a massive buy in the beginning by one of the people in the team, as you can see here. So that's a bad indicator, and that's one of the things that I show you in the previous videos, sort of identify whether it could be a potential rug. Now, what I would do now is I'd check all the buys above $500, go back all the way to the beginning, and just see what were the biggest buys. As you can see, literally upon launch, there were 5 buys above $1,000, all probably within the same time. Now, what does this indicate? It indicates that it was probably the team that bought or sniped just as it really, oh my God, a 21, well, there was a 21k sell and then a 21k buy. So could have been a bot, could have been the team who bought here, sold, and then bought back in, because whatever it may be, I don't know. But it just goes to show that there were people who sniped the bottom and probably hold a substantial amount of this coin in separate wallets, right? So if we go to holders right now, as you can see, there's not anyone holding. So let's see, someone bought 150 mil of supply, right? this person, right? Now they still hold 136 mil. Okay. Now if we go to here and we see, okay, the total supply is 888 mil. That's a big percentage of the supply that that person currently holds, and they still hold it, right? You need to understand, you need to look out for these things before you go ahead and buy into a coin like this. So again, I probably wouldn't buy into something like this just because I'm a bit cautious as to whether or not these the team or whoever sniped the bottom are going to sell, because there's not only one of those wallets, there's actually several of those wallets that bought the bottom. All right. And yeah, that's probable. We'll actually keep a lookout on this. I think if it does bounce off this, it could potentially again maybe touch all-time higher as well. But it's not something that I would personally want to get into, because I feel like once it drops below this line, it will probably just continue dropping, right? Or if there's like a big sell, it will just cause FUD and people will just dump, basically. Yeah. So we'll leave this here. Let's actually check on Shafa as well. Oh, Shafa didn't actually go towards where I assumed it would go. It did a quick, you could say 50%, but it didn't do anything more than that, right? And there's probably a reason as to why, right? Probably because they haven't updated deck screener yet, and maybe the team is inactive. I need to really look into the Telegram as to why it isn't. So, in case you guys are wondering, how do you go about finding the Telegram, finding the Twitter, if you come across a coin like this that hasn't updated deck screener? I would go onto Bird Eye, and then I'd paste the address. Now, this is one of the reasons as to why I also always tell my members in the community, take initial between 50 to 100%, because you want to keep your money safe, right? You're not at a loss yet, because remember, I said we bought at 200k MC. You're not at a loss yet. You're basically almost at break even. But if it was to drop below this, you'll then be at a loss. So you need to be careful when it comes to, you need to be risk averse when it comes to buying into a coin or DCAing. The idea is to get your initial out around 50 to 100% and let the rest run. All right. As you can see, it just retraced. It could still go back up to 400k. It did create a higher low, so who knows? It might be the beginning of an uptrend. All right, so we'll see. And another thing you need to understand as well is, like, when you see these kind of charts where there's a sudden huge sell, you can also treat it as another buying opportunity. You don't have to always treat it as fear and fear and doubt and like, oh, like it's going to continue dumping, blah blah blah. It could. With meme coins, at the end of the day, anything can happen. But again, you need to still have confidence in your analysis for you to make money. All right. Now, if we go into Bird Eye and we paste the address, you'll see if we go here, there is a website, but don't think it's anything. Yeah, so donate part of the profit. So do good for animals that we are speculating on. Donate part of the profits to They didn't even bother making a website or Twitter or Telegram. So if I saw this beforehand, and again, as I said, I didn't bother doing any of the checks, which I don't recommend at all. But if I saw that before, I might have not bought, because there's no community aspect to it. There's no website. There's no Twitter as far as I know. So how do I know what's actually going on behind the scenes, right? Everyone's just probably got the same feeling as me, which is like, when do I sell? When do I sell? When do I sell? All right. So I probably wouldn't have bought into this. Let's see, what else is there? This, obviously, if you see a chart like this, you absolutely do not want to buy. I don't care if there's 16k locked liquidity. I don't care if it's 10k market cap, and you think, oh, if it just goes up to like here, I'll be on a 2x. No, it probably will never go back up to there, right? Because there's like hundreds of thousands of coins at this exact position that could go up to here, but they never end up doing. Okay, so don't. Let's see, Tom's still going. P-Ponky. Let's see. Now, obviously, this is like a derivative of PEPE and Ponky, which are both coins that are doing well. So I personally think this is a coin that could potentially do well, right? Why? Because it's got the hype behind it, driven from the other two projects. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a long-term hold, but it's something that you can definitely profit off as it just launched. As you can see, like if we got into this around the first, let's say 15 minutes, which is again the aim of this video, you would have probably been about 2x up. If you got in below 400k MC, or actually never mind, I'm not even on MC. If you got in below 300k MC, you would have easily made a 2x before it started dropping again. And then if you DCA'd in again, if you bought around 250k MC, or let's just say 300k MC again, you'd be almost at another 2x, right? So point is you want to look at two things. You want to look at what the narrative behind the coin is, right? Is it following a trend? Is it a derivative or something? What is it? What is the basis of the coin, right? What's the purpose of it? Or not even a purpose, barely any of these coins have a purpose, but what's the narrative behind it? If the narrative makes sense based on what's currently going on, whether it's a meme coin, whether it's a news event, whatever it may be, it will most likely have volume and have momentum for you to buy into, right? If it's completely irrelevant, you probably shouldn't bother unless there's a reason as to why it's relevant. Again, as I said, such as news, such as a new trend that people are starting to catch on, and so on and so forth. Yeah. If we go on to this, for example, again, a common trend that's working nowadays, and it's been working for the past couple of months, is to do with politicians, right? So whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, especially because the elections are coming up, these coins tend to do well. There's a lot of hype around it. Same with cats, same with dogs, same with frogs, right? As you can see, this one, if you caught it within the first, so it released around 5:56. Let's say you caught it within the first 15 minutes, right? You would have caught it. Let's change the market cap. You would have caught it around 50k market cap, and you would have caught a 3 to 4x by buying it within the first 15 minutes. This is why catching these type of coins within the first 15 minutes is vital, okay? Because that's where you can make the biggest gains. But as you can see, then it starts to drop off after about an hour of being released, sometimes less, sometimes more. And once it starts to drop off, you might get an opportunity to get back into it again, but it's only if there's volume and there's actual momentum there. For example, this one only has 13k in volume, right? 72 makers. Personally, I wouldn't get into this, right? But again, I can't say that unless I've gone into the Twitter, I've gone into the Telegram and seen what the hype is like around this coin. Is there a lot of people active? Is there a VC going on, for example, right? Is the team still posting on Twitter? Are they active? Do they have any plans? All right. Now, this One Love, this is the one that came out an hour and 14 minutes ago. 82k volume, 400 makers in the past 24 hours. But as you can see in the past 5 minutes, barely anything. So this is probably not going to do much at all. Now, another way for you to check volume is you see these bars at the bottom, that indicates volume. So as you can see, the longer the bars, the more volume there is, right? And you can also see on the top left corner here, the number of, well, the amount of volume in that given time period. So in this minute, in this minute, in this minute. So as you can see, the first few minutes, there was 5.9K, 7K, 6.3K. Now, if you want to get an idea as to what numbers are good when it comes to volume, go to good projects such as, let's say PEPE, which has done 1.6 mil in the past hour and 29 minutes, and just go to there, right? You can see in the first minute, there was 224K. Now, obviously, again, as I said, this is a big candle and wick. So that could have been a team buy, right? But if you go to the other ones, you'll see 17K, you'll see 8K, you'll see 11K, you'll see 12K, 54K, so on and so forth. Those are good indicators that there were a lot of buying volume, or there was a lot of volume overall, hence why I started driving the price up. All right. Now, before we go, let's just take a look at what we've been looking at so far. So as you can see, Blobo is trying to bounce off this trend line, right? It did sort of drop past it, which isn't the best sign in my opinion, because I feel like that could now cause a downtrend, but we'll see. We'll give it a couple of minutes and we'll see. This, again, it sort of started a mini uptrend. Again, it's created a higher high, so to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if this continues up to 400K. Now, if you want to check on this and you're watching this maybe a week later after this uploads, just go back to 19th May 2024 at 7:34 or 7:35 and just see if it's reached 400K. Because, as far as I know, if I bought around 200K, I'd be almost at a 2x right now. All right. And you can also go to this coin as well, Tom, and just see if it dumped, because I'm pretty sure it will at any second now. Just trust me, it will dump any second now. But hopefully you found this video valuable on sort of the different types of coins and what they sort of indicate. And if you have any questions or any suggestions on what videos you want to see, let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one.